Hi, my name is Wasif, and welcome to the Pumpkin Patch, where we talk about adventures in parenting as well as health and wellness. It's presented by Eye Care Pharmacy, where I'm a pharmacist and an owner. So if you have any questions about the podcast or need help with a prescription, you can feel free to text me at 780-705-8871. We provide free delivery as well as expert advice all throughout Edmonton, Sherwood Park, St. Albert, Beaumont, as well as even Stony Plain. So if you do like the podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and hit subscribe. Thanks so much for dropping by, and I hope you enjoy our little conversation. Thanks. Bye. When you left the stollery, like they said, it's gonna be you're gonna need a lot of help because she has a lot of adaptive needs. So, like you said, one of the things that she was diagnosed with was the cerebral palsy,
Mhm.
and I was just reading based on your profile on the website and that sort of thing that she also has issues with her vision. I don't remember what the she technically is diagnosed with in regards to the vision. What is it
It's
called?
cortical visual impairment.
Okay, I
So,
see.
yeah,
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 yeah. And so you had said something about she gets all she can like everything is getting into the brain. She can see everything, but it's not getting processed or something
exactly.
like that, right? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you find, I guess, in regards to, you know, being in a situation where you do have, your little one that needs adaptive needs? How did, what was your journey in terms of trying to tackle that aspect of it?
Well, I thankfully this she was my first because I didn't have any expectations, right? So
Yeah.
I wasn't comparing her to, any other child because she was my first. So I kind of just let her, lead me and kind of what she needs, and then researched cortical visual impairment, and kind of where she was on this on the spectrum there, and noticing what she can see and what she can't, and where her field of vision was by holding things up, and how she tracked things, and so then just did things based on what she was showing me that she could and or couldn't see. So, but it was very it was interesting because uh, I was raising her in a totally different way now that I look back that I raised my son, right? So, I mean, everything was sensory, everything was instead of, because I realize that 90% of what children learn is visual, right? It's like, well, what's that? Well, that's what that is. And then it's like, okay, well, I know what that looks like. And then it's just but if you don't know what it looks like, and then you don't know what, just that kind of that piece, how do you explain that if you don't know,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, everything that I was talking to her about, here's a banana. Now, I touched it to her face and I let her
Yeah.
taste the peel, and let her feel it, and made her peel it and feel the different, parts of it. And but I have to do that with everything for her to understand what this was. And then naming, doing this the features of everything, right? That, it's round, and it's soft, and it's so just doing that and teaching her what things were. That was probably one of the hardest things, because you had to explain things that you wouldn't necessarily have to explain to
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
right?
Like I can understand why you're saying thankfully she was your first because I think I would like as a if she was your second, you'd have like certain expectations, and then yeah, and you might lead to more frustration than it would normally,
Yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then when I had my son, I was doing the same thing to him, and he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you making me lick this? Like, why? I don't need this. I see it, right?" And then I'd walk her, by, and he'd, like, stare at me, and I'm like, "This is so weird." Like, just things were just so foreign to me. and like I'd sneak in his room, but he's like right there and he's like looking at me. I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot you can see me, right? Like there's just, yeah, it was interesting. But I mean, that's the way I have learned to teach her, and it wasn't anything extra because I didn't know that it wouldn't be any other way to teach a child, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, but yeah, everything so far has been therapy through play. Everything we do is, is described. Is if something falls on the floor, I'll recreate it with her feeling it, so she knows that that sound isn't something to be scared of. And if she hears it again, she can associate, that type of object and what it would be falling on, because that's right, like if when you can't see
yeah,
something, everything, some sounds are threatening, right, if you don't know what they are. But trying to figure that out through touch is a little different, but that's just what we do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is she like in a program? Oh, like I'm sorry, I'm feeding Atlas here. Maybe I missed it, but like is there like a school that she's attending right now?
Yeah, she just goes to the local school right by the house here.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm really passionate, and I really feel strongly about inclusion. So
Oh yeah.
she does, yeah. So she's just, yeah, she goes to the school right by the house, and it's just a Catholic school. She does have a full-time aide, so that's awesome. She uses her walker. She can walk with her walker, and yeah, she's super smart. Um, Luckily, there was not a lot of frontal lobe damage, so cognitively, she's pretty on par with her peers. But that lack of vision really does it affects, her learning. And but we just, she can do anything anyone else can do. It just looks different. We just do it in a different way. So I mean, literacy is gonna, be in a different way, but whether it's, using the computer with the audio, however she needs to do it, that's, we're kind of seeing where what she's picking up. We've tried the braille, but she can see, so we're really trying to focus on teaching her how to see, because once she understands what she's seeing, then that's something that's in her. She's got it, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's a process for sure.
Will there be an opportunity? Like again, I'm not familiar with this, but for her to eventually have corrective surgery, is that an option for her? Is the technology even out there for her to have something like that? Because I know with my nephew, his vision in his left eye, which is, it's the left eye, right? What is
Yeah.
it? That's been he's slowly getting his vision back, but not really. But
Yeah,
so,
it's just a little different when it happens. Like with him, it happened like kind of quite young, and they caught it quickly, right? Versus, I think with her, it's kind of like more of an ongoing process, right?
Well, with what your nephew has, that's directly linked to his eyes, right?
yeah.
The
Right.
retina. So this is her brain. Her eyes are fine, right? So her eyes are fine. It's the processing. It's the occipital lobe that was damaged. That has a lot of damage to the occipital lobe. So that's the vision center, right? So her eyes, like, she's fine. It's just not processing what she's seeing. So
Oh,
everything almost, I guess, you could say it's like either like a kaleidoscope, or uh, even like if you can't read Chinese and you're in a restaurant and there's a menu and it's all in Chinese, you can see it, but it doesn't make sense to you, and it doesn't matter how long you stare at it, you're not gonna understand it unless someone teaches you what this means. So that's what we have to do with everything, right? So she can see it, but it doesn't understand what it is, or even it can't process it. So if we present something to her, it usually needs to be, like maybe a darker background and maybe light on it so she can see it, because she sees lights and colors for sure. But then if it's just something that's maybe one color and we present it to her, so she's looking at it and then kind of moving it so she can track it a bit, but then saying those salient features that is the same whether it's a cartoon or whether it's a real life or if it's in a book. So like if it's, you know, an elephant, elephants have big ears and they have a long trunk, but they're not always gray, right? So you have to do those features that are no matter what they are in, it's relevant, right? So then once, if she does get it, and then you take it away, put it back, and then she sees it, and then it processes, and she's like, oh, that's a brush, or whatever you've been presenting to her. Anytime she sees it now, she'll know what it is.
Thanks again for listening to the Pumpkin Patch Podcast. If you liked what you heard, please feel free to give us a 5-star rating and subscribe. And again, if you have any questions about the podcast, or as well questions about your health or wellness, text me at 780-705-8871. And have a great day, and hopefully we'll chat soon. Thanks. Bye.